Hello, this is Steve, Dichroic Glass Man on YouTube. The Pixie Bob channel, and also stained glass, fused glass, dichroic glass, all kinds of stuff. Here's a Pixie Bob kitten running across my video material right now. This video is on patterns. A lot of people ask me, in fact all the time over the years and years, people ask me, where do I get my drawings and my designs? Well, I make them up. Right now I'm sorting through a bunch of them, and here's some on the floor. There's a couple hundred, 200-300 patterns here on the ground. And Pixie Bobs trying to climb in and out of my patterns. Kittens playing. Well, what I want to talk about is I see a lot of people that patterns are rolled up paper. I don't do that. All my patterns are cardboard. They're poster board, actually. And there's a lot to be said for that. Here's a really cool one. I've made this one once or twice before. It's an abstract. And when I'm done cutting it out, because my method is patentable, it's called the Genesis system. I made it up years ago. Come to find out from Dan Abel over at Morton Glass and Ed Hoy, a system like mine doesn't exist. I showed them how I did it, and they've never seen anything like it. So anyway, my patterns are on poster board because here's the good thing about it. For instance, here's a pattern. I can't remember what it is. It's a PG 18 or something like that. And the cool part about it is this pattern right here. Once you assemble the bevel together, what you want to do is solder the bevel. Solder the bevel, or else don't solder the bevel. Let me retract. And as you can see my center line right here, what I did is I had it all copper foiled and put together, and then I trace outside of it. Whether you solder it and trace outside of it, or whether it's not soldered and you still trace outside of it, the nice part about this is this pattern is a template. I can use it lots and lots of times. In fact, what I can do is I don't have to have this as a bevel anymore. This could be cut out of clear ripple glass or cranberry or whatever, or a colored design. It doesn't have to be a bevel. It could be a bevel once and then a design secondly. Just trying to create some ideas for you guys in your stained glass endeavors. I advocate. I had a store and people ask me, what do you recommend getting into? And I say, I advocate people getting into bevel designs. Put a bevel in all your stuff. It's awesome. Bevels are easy. They're not that as expensive as people want you to believe they are. Well, maybe they are a little bit, but geez, it's a lot of labor already done. So let me throw a couple patterns up here, up on the bench. As you can see, if I had this little template right here, all I do is flop it in each corner. You see how I use that template? Here's just a star. These are some Beveldine bevels. I'm going to do a video on the Beveldine. I got to locate my book so people know what Beveldine bevels are. This is just a really easy peasy window. This is a day-and-a-half window for me. Just throw a couple bevel clusters in there. I like to use lots of different colors, so we won't go into colors because you're seeing a black and white drawing. I think you get the idea. This is cardboard. When you're done, here's the back side. When you're done, I scotch tape it back together. And then I put them in these flaps here so that they're nice and flat. They lay flat. Except my Pixie Bobs are running all over my patterns, and I'm sorting them out. I'm pitching them. I'm probably pitching 100 of them tonight. I wish I could roll them up and send them to you, but you can't really roll up poster board really well. I'd love to design patterns for people. If anybody was ever wanting bevel window patterns, I would make them for you like crazy. I love doing it. I've got hundreds and hundreds of templates. I've got hundreds of these templates. I've got big ones. I've got small ones. Here's an H23, which means it's a highlight. You've seen this one, the giant Birdcage. Well, they call it a Birdcage. Here's another one. I'm just roughly flopping through these, being a little rough on this for the sake of the video. Oh, here's an HC cluster. Let's don't get into that. Here's a KBC 1920. Looks like yay. You could trace around it. You could create another panel out of it. We just did that one. Trace around it. Put it on a piece of poster board. Create a pattern. You're good to go. Here's a highlight, H23. Trace around it. You got a pattern. You're good to go. I'm making this really sound simple, aren't I? Here's infinity bevels. You ever messed around with infinity bevels? In the middle is an H17. At the end is an H1. And that looks like an H14. H14 or an H11. So in other words, in order to make this, you need 1 cluster, 2 clusters, 3, even though it's one piece, 4. Let's see. I realize basically you need 1, 2 on the end. So you need 8 clusters, 1 in the center. So the point is, after I cut this out and I utilize this pattern, I got a template to make this booger again and again. I don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. A lot of people are. I've seen people that are trying to design stuff and it just blows me away how much work they're creating for themselves. I've got hundreds of these templates. Maybe 1,000. Nah, maybe I'm exaggerating. But you get the point. I have boxes and boxes and boxes of templates because I don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. Here's a J18. Now what's cool about this, I'm going to stick this J18 for the next video because I got something really cool to talk about with that J18. So here's a little bevel. Here's an ABO 79. In other words, that's an American bevel cluster. So if you just take this outline, go to the ABO book, find out who's selling ABOs, American bevel clusters, you got an outline. So that tells you what this looks like. Well, that's the perimeter of it, so you get the idea. Anyway, I think you get the idea. I'm being a little redundant here, being a little silly. It's late at night. Cats are jumping all over the place, having a blast. Here's a BC511. See where it soldered on it? Scarred the paper, burnt the paper? I'm fine with it. Because poster board is thick enough, you can use it and trace it with a very nice lead pencil. You see your marks. Use this one and you use this one for the center of your poster this way, your drawing, and then this mark right here goes right here is the center, and here's the other mark. So you use that and you square that dude right up in your pattern, and you're good to go. I mean, in seconds you can tell where your pattern's going to go accurately again and again and again. Anyway, you get the point. I'm being a little redundant, like I said, being silly. It's late at night, but I'm going to still make more videos. I love doing this. Look at all these patterns. There is probably 200 to 300 patterns in here. This is an abstract. That's a simple one. That's got some, let's see, those are SB clusters in the corner. It looks like an SB 3 or 4. Not sure, I don't remember. You've seen this cluster. That's a really cheap cluster. It makes a really beautiful panel. I'll do it really fast. This is a really beautiful panel, really simple. I like to use French Crackle in here. I mean, you can take a cheesy, easy design like this. Next time I wouldn't make this with just a single border, by the way. I like putting, so I can tell this is an old pattern. I would have made this a 1/2-inch border right here where my finger's going around. I wouldn't just have one single line right here. That would be a border. Anyway, you can make this beautiful. Beautiful. Mauve G&A background bevel here. That way they stand out. Put a border around here like a milky white, like a mottled white. Throw a dark cranberry or darker mauve in here so you got jewel tones. Throw a French Crackle in here. Use a opaque white, mottled white for the corners. Use an ice in here and embellish the bevel. That way there's a lot of electricity going on in every corner. I don't know, just throw a nice big jewel in here. That's a little bit too little. So you got 4 jewels going on here. You can see where the circles are. So, simple pattern. Oh my gosh, I could do this almost in a day. And simple stuff, but yet you can make it very elegant with your presentation. Clean lines, very simple, but yet a very strong presentation. This panel here is probably about 30 inch by 30 inch to give you a size of reference. So easy, cheesy design. Cheap bevels. This is probably about a $12 bevel. The center, maybe 25. And you got a, I don't know, you got a $600 panel when you're done. 5 anyway. So, lots of ideas. Bye-bye.